Jey Uso's frustrated with fans? No yeet. A fan altercation at an indie show. My review of Monday Netflix Raw. And more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Over the last several months, WWE wrestlers have increasingly complained about fan harassment in real life. Rhea Ripley was mobbed by fans in Paris as she tried to get in a taxi. AJ Lee called out a fan for making an incredibly creepy deepfake video of the two kissing. And CM Punk explained on social media that if you follow wrestlers around, you are not a fan. You are a stalker and will be treated as such. And now Jey Uso has also reached his breaking point, posting on Instagram, "If you see me in public, please don't walk up and poke me or touch me. How many strangers poke y'all ass in a day? About 38 for me. 2 words, 4 letters. Don't poke. This isn't Facebook in 2009, people. That is a no yeet." But still, people blame Jey for being poked in the butt by strangers. One of the main arguments online was that his entrance is through the crowd, and it encourages fans to physically interact with him. He was asking for the poke. And I can see that point. For giving a babyface tap on the shoulder, not prodding him in the arse. Or look at Jey Uso making his entrance here surrounded by children. He's just asking me, begging me, to poke him in the butt. But Jey did acknowledge you can have nice, non-creepy interactions with wrestlers in public, sharing a story about one fan who just wanted to have a friendly conversation with him. I love my fans, right? But to the lady who asked me about me today, appreciate you. You know who you are. Yeet. Some might argue that professional wrestling has always had a history of fan harassment. That's what we used to call heat, brother. If you weren't getting stabbed by a grandma fan in Puerto Rico, are you even wrestling? But that ignores how parasocial media has blurred the lines between the public and the personal, the celebrity, and their private existence. The number of serious incidents since the pandemic, largely around female performers, like the arrests of stalkers of Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, and Saraya, led PW Insider to write an opinion piece back in June of this year entitled, "Someone is Going to Die. A warning." I know Jey's is just a prod in the butt by comparison, but it's part of a larger behavior shift in the most toxic part of modern fandom. And it's not just on the big WWE shows. At the C4 Wrestling event in Ottawa last Friday, 2 large males jumped into the ring and attempted to assault the ref with punches before the main event. According to a live report, security quickly intervened before they could actually land a blow and threw them out of the venue. The 2 men then tried to get back in, starting another scrum with security. Apparently, the audience were confused, thinking it was part of a storyline. The 2 men were wearing similar outfits, grey shirts, caps and jeans, so they thought it was a new tag team debuting. Post-wrestling spoke to the promoter Mark Policel, who had stated that security had already overheard the 2 men discussing rushing the ring earlier in the night, which is why they were prepared. The 2 men then tried to claim they were part of the show, which Policel shouted down. C4 has been running mostly monthly shows since 2007, and they said this is absolutely not something that ever happens at our shows. Other notable stories in wrestling right now before I get into the Raw review are that Jacob Fatu could be returning imminently. Fatu was written off TV back in October for dental work, in a move that actually majorly shifted WWE's already shifting War Games plans. Fatu was originally planned to be part of the men's babyface team, but had to be replaced by Cody Rhodes, who was meant to defend his WWE title against Drew McIntyre in a singles match on the PLE. Now PW Insider is reporting there was chatter backstage at Saturday's show that Fatu would be back on the road in the next few weeks, which fits in with the originally reported timeline for his recovery. AEW has announced the date and location for their first pay-per-view of 2026. Revolution will take place at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles on the 15th of March, marking a return to Sunday night shows for the promotion. This will mark a near 3-month gap after their last pay-per-view of 2025, World's End, on December 27th. And it looks like very good news for TNA, as shortly after Sports Illustrated reported the promotion could be getting a new TV deal on AMC, and Fightful claimed it could be announced as soon as today, the 2nd of December, AMC posted a teaser of their logo and what sounded like crowd noise with the date 15th of January 2026, which would be a Thursday when TNA usually airs. But now it's time for my review of Monday Netflix Raw. in about 5 minutes. Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett open the show standing in the crowd. Who do they think they are? CM Punk injuring himself right after he wins a title, as they promised a huge Survivor Series Fallout episode, which had no Brock Lesnar, no Roman Reigns, no John Cena, no Becky Lynch, no AJ Lee, no CM Punk, and no Cody Rhodes. I actually really enjoyed this episode. It was really well booked and way better than the actual Survivor Series PLE, but WWE keep on struggling to have both a well-booked show and actual top stars on TV in 2025. The episode was bookended, however, by undoubtedly the best thing in WWE since the summer, the women's tag division. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley welcomed us to Monday Night Rio. Monday Night, enter name of wrestler cutting promo here is really starting to grind my gears, where Ripley said even though they won War Games, the war isn't over. They're going to beat the Kabuki Warriors for the tag team titles. Because now War Games is done, everyone can pick up their actual storylines and characters again. Jey Uso, Charlotte Flair in double denim, and Alexa Bliss interrupted, saying they want their tag title rematch first, setting up a #1 contenders match for the main event. Adam Pearce then agreed Ivy Nile will be Maxine Dupree's first IC title opponent when Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker came over and said they need to talk about CM Punk. Pearce said no, they need to talk about the masked man who interfered for them in the War Games match, and Heyman replied, "These aren't the droids you're looking for." So Pearce moved on. He did have a few backstage bits with referees throughout the episode where he was asking them to investigate who the masked man really was. But really, this is a very weak follow-up to the main angle from the PLE. The identity wasn't revealed, Punk wasn't there to cut a promo on wanting revenge, he was kayfabe not cleared after War Games, and, most criminally, Otis and Akira Tozawa weren't appointed chief investigators to find out who it was. We could have had comedy skits backstage all night. Interrogation scenes with Rusev. Ron Simmons walking in and saying, "Damn." I know we're all serious sports presentation these days, but WWE could really benefit from embracing its inherent goofiness more often. But it might be all okay in the end, because I've got a theory. No, not that one. The first match was Jey Uso versus LA Knight in the first, last, time is now semi-final, where Jey didn't sell War Games at all. That was 2 days ago. And Knight, for a change, actually won, with a really intense final third and a great sudden pin, with Knight taking a kind of spear and a splash, but then getting a crucifix on Jey to win. He'll lose to take on Gunther, who won later on in the final on SmackDown. And then, awakened from his month-long War Games slumber, Jey Uso remembered he had a character arc. He was dejected in defeat and angrily pushed over the Prime stand outside. Logan Paul feud confirmed. And later on, he wouldn't answer Jackie Redmond's questions backstage, instead saying there's too many people in his head and they all need to get out. The title looks best on Roman's shoulder, he said. Not his. The Kabuki Warriors bullied Bayley backstage, saying she's not a champion like them, setting up the main event angle, and also giving us this nightmare fuel shot where Lyra seemed to corpse as the shot cross-faded to the next segment. The Judgment Day welcomed Liv Morgan back, where she vowed they run Monday Night Raw again now, resetting all the tension with Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez, likely meaning we'll get 6 more months of that. Morgan squared up to Stephanie Vaquer backstage later on, setting up Vaquer's first proper title feud. That I reckon she's going to lose. Maxine Dupree got a really gritty video package, being trained by a re-gimmicked Natalya, looking like she's just come from the MMA movie Warrior. While this was very good, I don't see it translating to a believable in-ring presence for Dupree. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee had a very good tag title defense against the New Day, which ended with an incredible spot. Lee hitting a stomp on Kofi Kingston draped over the top rope, which bounced Kofi seamlessly into a Styles clash. Dragon Smiles want to be fighting champions, so they'll take on War Raiders next week. Then came the best part of the show. Bron Breakker stepping up to prove he's not just great in the ring. He is the second coming of Mad Scott Steiner promos. After Paul Heyman did his opening spiel, he revealed that he has agreed with Adam Pearce that Bron Breakker will have a match on the first episode of Raw of 2026, the anniversary of the Netflix debut, against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. It was a much-needed example of how Heyman is actually benefiting Breakker in kayfabe, as ever since the Seth betrayal, Paul has consistently given them bad advice. Then Breakker got the mic and cut the best promo of his career so far. He was disappointed how easy it was to beat Punk, who's a soft-ass bitch. Punk's wife is a bigger star than him. He did an impression of Punk patronizing him with, "Oh, congratulations, kid," backstage in the past. He tore off his jacket. He was shouting. He was angry. This is the Breakker we need. There was very little mention of the masked man, though, which got me thinking. It was Austin Theory in the disguise. But will Austin Theory be the man who's actually revealed? Punk vs. Breakker is the reported WrestleMania main event, but just a few weeks ago WWE had Punk vs. Roman planned behind the scenes. This is apparently a new change in direction, and the title match on the 5th of January episode comes at an interesting time. It's 5 days after Chris Jericho's AEW contract expires. Jericho has revealed himself from under a mask multiple times. He has history with CM Punk, and more than anything, he loves leading factions of younger, more over stars. Could the Mystery Man mystery be drawn out for a month so Jericho can be unveiled as the Vision's new member? Gunther then took on Solo Sikoa in the other tournament semi-final. The heel versus heel dynamic was clunky at first, as the crowd didn't quite know who to cheer for. But as always with Gunther matches, it really picked up in the final third. Tala Tonga interfered several times, casting Gunther in the more babyface role, so Gunther, who believes the ring is sacred, did a cheat of his own, kicking Solo in the dick to win. He had a stare down with Knight afterwards. It feels like Logan Paul's direction has changed too. At the start of the month, he was setting up a program with Punk over the World Heavyweight title. But now Breakker has taken over, it seems Logan will have another match against Rey Mysterio, who he had a brawl with backstage. And the main event was the babyface team of Charlotte and Alexa versus the babyface team of Rhea and Io. That's right, 3 of the 4 matches on this show were between opponents of the same moral alignment. I am so sending you a passive-aggressive email on my GM mode, Triple H. Just like the rest of the women's tag division, this was fast-paced and intense, and mostly built around Charlotte and Rhea. But just when Bliss had it won, the Kabuki Warriors attacked everyone for the double DQ. This brought out Bayley and Lyra to even the odds, but fulfilling their promise that the Judgment Day run Raw now, Liv, Raquel, and Roxanne laid out everyone. Roxanne handed Liv the tag title belt in the closing moments, one she never lost. But Liv gave it back to her and raised her hand. Not just putting over how Morgan has united the faction again, but also showing she's got her eyes on bigger things. The Cares Women's title. This week's Raw is 75%. Do you like watching people eat things that are way too spicy? Then go and watch the first ever episode of Snack Scene, where a bunch of comedians try to eat a bunch of different snacks. Here's a clip.
Wait, let me hear you eat this side. -1 on that.
There's 5 chili and a
Crazy.
Most dangerous crisp in the world.
Is that what it says? It's actually okay.
Well, you got to 5. Okay,
It's just-
See here? Boom.
Rico. It must be Rico off the shelf immediately. Because the flyers won't land. Rico the whole thing.